Welcome to Village Church Connections. I'm David Pavey. The British speak of chancing your arm. Someone who chances his arm takes a risk in the hope of achieving something good. You chance your arm, for example, when you give up a secure job to start your own business. Where the term comes from, though, is an open question. Experts inform us that it was first used around 1880, often by the military. However, there is an amazing true story in the history of Ireland that illustrates chancing your arm. It goes like this. Late in the 15th century, there was a feud between two prominent Irish families who were fighting over Dublin. At one point in 1492, many warriors had died, and the remaining fighters under the leadership of so-called Black Butler rushed into the chapter house of St. Patrick's Cathedral in Dublin and bolted the door, seeking refuge and protection from Gerald Fitzgerald and his men. After a while, outside the cathedral, Butler's opponent, Fitzgerald, paused to take stock of his own situation. He knew his own children were in danger if the feud was not ended. Here were two families living in the same country, worshipping the same God, in the same church, trying to kill each other. Consequently, Fitzgerald had a change of heart. So he called to Butler, inviting him to unbolt the door and come out to make peace. Butler, understandably suspicious of treachery, refused. Fitzgerald needed to prove that no malice was intended, that his desire for reconciliation was genuine. So as the siege wore on, he seized his spear and he cut a hole in the door of the chapter house, large enough for his hand to pass through. He called through the hole and told Black Butler it was time, and the feuding had to be finished and they had to be reconciled. "I'm going to put my arm through the hole in the door," he exclaimed. "You can cut it off or you can shake it. The decision is yours." Fitzgerald then thrust his entire arm through the hole. His arm extended into the chapter house, utterly available to be chopped off. He had placed himself entirely at the mercy of those inside, making himself completely vulnerable. In other words, Fitzgerald had chanced his arm. He had taken a risk in the hope of achieving something good. What would Black Butler do? He could cut the arm off, or he could shake the hand of the opponent who had chanced his arm. Butler grasped Fitzgerald's hand with his own and then opened the door. The two men embraced, the feud was over, the clans were reconciled. That door and that hole still exist today. You can go to St. Patrick's Cathedral and see the evidence of chancing the arm. The door's not on hinges, but stored in a special room where it has been since 1492. And beside the door is a plaque telling why it is so special. There's a sense in which someone chanced his arm for you, and you don't have to go to St. Patrick's Cathedral to appreciate it. God saw you barricaded inside your own inner chapter house, and he sent Jesus to chance his arm for you. The hand he extends to be rejected or accepted bears the scar of a nail hole. Here we are, cowering before the enemies of sin, guilt, shame, and Jesus offers us forgiveness, peace, and joy. We can take it or leave it, enjoying or enduring the consequences. Why not take his hand in yours today and enjoy reconciliation? But there's another message here regarding chancing the arm. God calls us to chance our arm on behalf of others, to chance our arm by engaging with the poor, the needy, the refugee, the widow, the orphan, the immigrant, the single mom, the slaves of those trafficked for labor or sex, the prisoner, the sick, the sorrowing. He calls us to leave our comfort zone and take a risk in the hope of achieving something good. God chanced his arm for you and for me, and he calls you to chance your arm for others. And as Jesus said to his disciples, if you know these things, happy are you if you do them. And thank you for tuning in once again to Village Church Connections.